And when you look at scriptures, scripture is replete with strategic people, with innovative thinkers. People who can get a way out when their back is against the wall. People who can sort things out by the Spirit of God. So the master commended this guy just because his back was going to be against the wall, but he was smart enough to get a way out. He was smart enough to get a way out. Are we also smart enough to get a way out, protecting our best interest? Bringing every other thing secondary, but we're smart enough to think strategically, creatively, and bring to bear solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the kingdom of God or the church is supposed to be the innovative headquarters or the innovation headquarters of the world. But the church has outsourced innovation to Apple, to Facebook, to all this. That's what is happening. We are the custodians of innovation. In Genesis chapter 1, God, looked at everything. The Bible says the heart was without form and void. Darkness covered the face of the deep. And the first thing on his mind was, let there be light. And there was light. God happened to be the most innovative being ever. He knew that for you to do anything about what is on ground, you first of all need light. And Jesus said, as long as I'm in the world, I am the light of the world. And when he was looking for metaphors to use for you and I, he said, you are the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. So when I say that the church is the innovation headquarters of the world, I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking scriptures, mainly. We may not look like it, but that's what is in our DNA. Are you still with me today? Yeah. And the earlier we start to see ourselves that way and think that way and align ourselves with what God has already coded into our DNA, the better for us. We are the one to solve all the problems because God has endowed us with the capacity to do that. Say amen, somebody. Or say better amen, somebody. So let's look at one of those innovative figures in the scriptures. I said scripture is replete with people with all kinds of ideas and innovation. Last Sunday I was talking about Jacob. The fact that Jacob's back was against the wall when Laban reviewed his emolument 10 times downwards. And then God gave him an idea. Just tell this guy, you know what? Don't pay me anything again. Pay me with livestock. And pay me with all these rickety ones. So that the guys, will be happy. Pay me with your minorities, the strict and speckled ones. That's all I want. And, they're the feeble ones also. Just pay me with them. And then Jacob said, we'll separate them 3 days' journey from each other. Yeah. But Jacob happened to be a man that was working in covenant with God. Yeah. So when he said we separate them 3 days' journey from each other, they won't even see each other. The very robust, plain-colored animals and the strict and the speckled ones. And God gave him an idea. Cut, branches of trees and make marks, the speckled and strict marks on them, and put it in front of these animals. So, the one that Laban held on to were the strict and speckled ones. Jacob took the plain ones, which were in the minority. But just taking out the stick and marking them, when you strip branches, it comes out with, strict signs. Am I saying the truth? Not many villagers are here. Yeah, if you grew up in your village, you understand what I'm saying very well. Yeah, I spent some time in the village. I had grandparents who refused to die. So we used to just go around and, play in the bush with them over the holidays. Those are some of the things that, you do. So this guy put it in front of the animals. And the Bible says that while the animals were feeding, he would put it in front of them. While they were mating, he put it in front of them. So plain colored animals started to give birth to speckled and, the ones with stripes. And before you know it, they became majority. They were stronger. Where did he get the idea from? That's covenant innovation. Look at this one with me this morning. In Exodus chapter 1, Pharaoh came out with a decree that all male kids should be killed. All male born to the Jews should be killed. That's in Exodus chapter 1. And in verse 15 of Exodus chapter 1, then the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of whom the name of one was Shipra, and the name of the other, Pu, or Pua. God help me this morning. These are serious names. And he said, when you do the duties of a midwife for the Hebrew woman, and see them on the birth stool, if it is a son, then you shall kill him. But if it's a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwife feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the male children alive. So the king of Egypt called for midwives and said to them, why have you done these things and saved the male children? And the midwives said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are lively and give birth before the midwives come to them. Therefore, God dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and grew very mighty. And it was so, because the midwife feared God, that he provided households for them. So Pharaoh commanded all the people, saying, every son who is born you shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. So this was the decree. This was the decree. But look at what the mother of Moses did. And this is where I'm going. For some of us here this morning, one idea, one innovative thinking that God will give you may save your marriage. It may save a whole enterprise. It may save your organization. It may save a nation. But how do we respond to those ideas when God, gives us those ideas? I want us to look at what the mother of Moses did. It was unconventional. Her back was against the wall, but she refused to let go. And a man, verse 1 of chapter 2 of the book of Exodus, and a man of the house of Levi went and took a wife, a daughter of Levi. So the woman conceived and bore a son. And when she saw that he was a beautiful child, she hid him 3 months. 3 months. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to cast your mind back to what it would take for a woman to hide a male child for 3 months in a place where the king guards move around and look for these boys to kill them. So it was literally like a boy will be crying and you have to hold his mouth. You have to, carry him into a corner. Some of us have infants in our homes as I speak right now, and you know what it takes to keep a child in your neighborhood without anybody for 3 months. My neighbor's wife delivered not too long ago, and we suffered it together. Yeah. I knew when, one night my wife and I woke up and we're like, do we need to go and talk to these people? He said, but some people suffered with us too when our kids were small. Because I remember what it took to win my first daughter from the breast. It was a lot. And it was like 2 weeks of wailing, nonstop, overnight and everything. Because my wife was going back to work and she had gone back to work. We're managing, we're, doing all sorts. But after a while, months over months, this girl just refused to let go. So I could play everything back on my mind. I mean, that was 11 years ago, but I could play everything back on my mind. Now, when my neighbor's son will just wail from like 12 midnight to 6 a.m. And I couldn't understand why, really. But, courtesy demands that you don't go and ask. I don't know. They will just say this pastor is too troublesome. Because but we endured it. Now it's a lot better. I'm talking about 2-3 months ago. It's a lot better now. But cast your mind back to that. That was what this woman managed for 3 months. And after 3 months, it looked like this. I've tried everything, but there was nothing more to do. Look at what this woman did. But when she could no longer, verse 3 of Exodus chapter 2, but when she could no longer hide him, she took an hack of bulrushes for him, dropped it with asphalt and pitch, and put the child in it, and laid it in the reed by the river's bank, and his sister stood afar off to know what would be done to him. You know the rest of the story. The daughter of Pharaoh came to have a bath at the river. Her maidens were walking along the river bank, and they saw this basket, and the daughter of Pharaoh said, bring out the basket for me. They checked, and it was a Hebrew boy inside the basket. And then the sister of Moses quickly went and said, do you need a maid to take care of this child? And he said, yes, I can get you one of the Hebrew women. And then went home and called her mother to come. And then her mother started getting paid for taking care of her own son, when other people's sons were being killed. Where did she get the idea from that you could just, get bulrushes, made an ark, overlay it with asphalt and pitch? She was not a boat maker. Yeah. She did not study oceanography and marine technology. But she got the idea that this may be the last resort, but let's do something. And this morning I'm challenging somebody here. What is it that God has placed in your hand? Is it a job? Is it a business? Is it a family? And what would you do even when your back is against the wall to say, God, this needs to be saved? Little did this woman know that it was the Savior of the entire Jewish community that she was trying to preserve. Praise God. I said, praise God. So it's extremely important that we understand the place of innovation in our day-to-day life. One of the best definitions of innovation that I found in my various studies is that innovation is the profitable implementation of strategic creativity. This is one of the best I've found so far. It is this profitable implementation of strategic creativity. Profitable implementation of strategic creativity. And reading Exodus chapter 2, I understood this definition even much more from the life of the mother of Moses. Innovation is profitable. Profit does not necessarily mean money. It means you derive some sort of benefit. It could be a means of making things quicker, easier, more enjoyable, or safe, or, in modern day, Pharaoh is a spirit. Pharaoh is a disease that is just wiping male children. Can you just imagine that, God forbid, a disease just showed up and is just attacking male children? That was literally, because male kids were being killed. How innovative will we get to be able to sort that out? That's what we're talking about this morning. What will be your disposition to that kind of thing? How will we think about it? How will we figure it out? An industry is going down, and everything is going down, and it looks like the whole world is against that industry or whatever. What will be my own disposition to what is happening? How will I approach it as a covenant person? Will I put on my covenant art with a bit of creative thinking to be able to see how do we get out of this situation? Or will I join the complainers and the whiners? So innovation is profitable. Innovation must be implemented. It must move from the realm of idea to successful execution. From the realm of idea to successful execution. You need to ask yourself how innovative this woman would have been to even carry this child from the house to the river bank. That was a journey of life and death, because she herself could have lost her life in doing that. Innovation is strategic. It is well thought out. That was where we started from the parable of the unjust steward. Strategic, well thought out. What shall I do right now? I cannot dig. I'm ashamed to beg. What shall I do? That's where it starts from. Oh, I know what to do. So that when I'm put out of stewardship, I will not be found in the cold. God commended the unjust steward for dealing shrewdly in that situation. So innovation is creative. It thinks of new and ingenious ways to achieve set objectives. New and ingenious ways to achieve set objectives. New and ingenious ways to achieve set objectives. Innovation stems from a rebellion against the brick wall or status quo. That's where it stems from. A rebellion against the brick wall or status quo. Trusting God this morning that the spirit of innovation is being unleashed over this house. I cannot hear your amen. That the grace to provide relevant solutions is being unleashed over this house. It's going to start from God answering the questions in your heart, and you must have questions on your mind. That's where we're going this morning. You must have questions on your mind. Innovation stems from rebellion against the brick wall or status quo. So the language of innovation is that of a challenger. It's that of a challenger. How do we do it, like we say, better, faster, smarter, smaller, sometimes bigger, depending on what we're dealing with, safer or cheaper. These are things we've all heard before. But until we allow this to really sink in, and we become people who are always asking questions and refusing to align with tradition or traditional beliefs, when you study some innovative people, they always go against the grain. Recently, I was reading about, the Linus, system and how they embrace the open source rather than we are the one creating everything. Let people create it. And people went against it, but today, open source has become, something that, people who understand IT will understand what I'm talking about. It has become what everybody is doing. And that's how it is. A lot of the time, the tradition is there. A few weeks ago, I was thinking about it. When I was growing up in this Nigeria, you cannot order food online. You'll be afraid that they will poison your food, which will put something in the food. The food that we're cooking in our house, we're still afraid of witches, let alone the one we order online. I'm telling you the truth. So I was having a meeting with one or two of our staff in the office. And as we were having the meeting, then I called my PA and ordered for lunch and said, you should get me lunch, and all that. And we continued to have the meeting. I didn't know that while we were doing that, one of the people in front of me had ordered our own lunch online. So when we finished the meeting, they brought in my lunch. And I was saying, would you, I don't want to be a wicked pastor. I know that this will not be enough for both of us, but you people can at least share some of this food with me. And, I was just trying to, it wasn't really like I wanted them to join me in that. But, courtesy, because they just brought my food and we just finished the meeting, and all that. So that, where I came from, they will always call you to eat, even though they don't want you to eat. If you're a Yoruba person, you understand what I'm saying. So that was exactly what I did. And as I was doing that, a phone rang. And it was the delivery guy, at our gate here. And he was like, oh, okay, you're here. I hope my delivery, is complete. It's chicken and this and that. And he said, and I was looking at her like this. I said, when did you order this food? He said, when we're having meeting. I said, when we're having meeting? And the truth, she left my office and I continued to think that, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was growing up, my mother should not catch me ordering food online. Because, the fear of the unknown and all, but we have gone past all that now. Housewife will order a pot of stew for the entire family online. Now, I'm telling you the truth. That's what is happening now. That's where we are. 10 years ago, our tradition was against that. What kind of housewife will order pot of stew online? But in certain climes today, if you don't do it on your own, you'll be hungry. No, that's the truth. Because the housewife is extremely busy. The man himself, is busy. Everybody's busy, even the children. Yes, they will do school. They will do after school. They will do. Everybody's busy. Are you still with me today? And our world is changing very fast. We must align. Somebody say, I will align. Or come on, say it again, say, I will align. So, maybe a word for those of us here who are bosses. I want to encourage you, if you run a business, you have people in your employment, be open to crazy ideas. Yeah. Make your environment, your business environment, an environment that can engender innovation. Some of the best innovative companies in the world, when you enter their business environment, you see funny things. Even the seating arrangement is unusual. Everything just lends itself to people being relaxed enough to think and be innovative. Let's reward ideas. Let's encourage our people to be free, to think, to ask questions, and to talk. Some of the greatest solutions that a company would need to get to the next level, it may be a middle-level manager that has it, not even an executive management person. And how do we package our environment in such a way that those people, their voices can also be heard? And they can contribute to what is going on in the company so that, we can have an innovative environment. That's what I'm saying. An innovative environment. Innovative environment. It's extremely important. Extremely important. So, new things are happening around us. I don't know if you read Time magazine, you have the Time 50, Time 100, best innovative ideas. I just picked one simple one, the selfie stick. Yeah, the selfie stick is one of the latest innovation of the past. But the truth, it's not even new. I have that on my slide. I wanted to put it up. It's not even new. It's not even new. Reading about it, the idea existed in 1925. And in the 1980s and 90s, and was quoted in Time magazine as one of the top 20 inventions of 2014. But that idea of a selfie stick is not even new. Yeah. And it's just about how can we make something that is old relevant today? How can we make something that is old relevant today? Innovation can be as simple as what the Otto Frederick, the guy who invented sliced bread or bread slicer, did many years ago, to more cumbersome things. Innovation can be about how we organize our family and how they flow in our house. Yeah, somebody gets to work late, gets to work angry every day, just to sit down to say, how can I turn this around? Yeah. Is there another route to work? In my language, they said, not one way. It's not only one way that leads to the market. Yeah, there's so many ways, and you have to be able to think through. So, to be innovative, have a question in mind. Let me round off. To be innovative, have a question in mind. A question in mind. Be inquisitive. A question in mind starts with an open mind, being open-minded. A question in mind starts with gaining a broader perspective. A question in mind starts with asking probing questions. There's no way we can be disruptors if we won't ask the question, what if and what else? What if and what else? Wouldn't it be wonderful if this is possible? Yeah. This morning I woke up thinking, which other way? How easier can it be? How can we make it easier to get to the mainland? I've had horrible experiences the last 3 to 4 weeks just going to do stuff on the mainland. I preach around the city. I, deliver papers at events. This past week I was at Daystar Christian Center for the Leadership Conference, like 2 or 3 days, the entire 3 days of the conference, just traversing between Lagos Island and mainland is an ordeal. I don't know if you've seen that. And this is another ordeal. This one here. This one resonates with you better, right? Because you're here. There was a day I left the mainland, 3:30. And I got to this office here at this location, I think at 6:30. It was supposed to be coming against traffic. And yet it took 3 hours. I was locked up in Lekki 1 for 1.5 hours. Some of the things I was thinking was that, do you know, with the value of my own time, if you tell me to pay maybe 15 or 20K and go on a chopper to the mainland, I'll do it. I'm telling you. Because my 3.5 hours is more important than that. Sometimes I have 5 people waiting for me. And then, wouldn't I pay 20K just to be able to be there on time and meet with them and resolve the issues? Sometimes I have meeting at the church site and people are waiting. And the meeting, perhaps, if they have to meet me, may be called off just because of traffic. And I saw on CNN a while ago that in the nation of Brazil, choppers are like taxis. But, they have more skyscrapers. So the bus stops are on the roof. And you just need to place a call. I want to go to so-and-so place. And if you're a very, upperly mobile business person, you buy your slot from the beginning of the year. Pay something like $2,500 and have 20 or so trips in the year that you can call at any time. You give them 45 minutes notice. And you just go to the roof of your building, get into the chopper, and you're gone. It's that cheap. And with that, they've been able to reduce traffic on the ground. Because you just see ta-ta-ta-ta, everybody's moving around there. Yeah. And until we start to think and probe, many things will not give way. Secondly, develop a sense of responsibility, problem-solving mindset. You remember David at the Valley of Elah. David said, is there not a curse? His brother said, they sent you to come and deliver food. Which one is your own with Goliath? David said, is that not a curse? If something is at stake, I want to stick out my neck. That was his approach. If something is at stake, I want to stick out my neck. Thirdly, be passionate. Take advantage of the passion you have for something that you love. Or sometimes it's something that you hate. Yeah. That you hate so passionately, you want to stick out your neck and think. Imagine Thomas Edison's passion for incandescent light bulb. That passion drove him to stay there and stay there. He just wanted to see this light thing work. Number 4, be sensitive and recognize opportunities. It's horrible for God to create opportunities and we cannot even sense them. Yeah. Because sometimes it's just to ask yourself, this thing has taken me so much time. Can it be faster than this? Can this be easier than this? That's how some of the most innovative solutions have been created. Can it be easier than this? People have encountered roadblocks and they ask themselves, this is horrible. This is not the way to live. Is there something to be done about this? Lastly, capture the benefits of failure. Failure is an event with a learning curve. Let it fuel and not quench your innovative spirit. Yeah. Let it fuel and not quench your innovative spirit. Is there somebody here this morning, you've suffered any kind of failure? Let it push you to think more about, I think it was Thomas Edison that said that he has found 1,001 ways that it will not work, not 1,000 ways that it will fail. Whenever we fail, we should fail forward, not fail backward. Fail thinking that this is just a way that it will not work. That there will be many other ways that it will work. And until it works, I'm not going to pull back. As the economy changes, as the world changes, as many things start to happen, as the political, terrain changes, we have socioeconomic issues that will still show up. There's no promise that 2016, world over, the economy will get better or anything like that. What we can control is how we can align with the will and the purposes of God for our lives and engaging covenant promises. When the angel appeared to Mary, speaking about Jesus, he said, "He shall be great, and he shall be called the Son of the Highest." If you say he shall be great, and he shall be called the Son of the Highest, that means he will not be stranded. And if we are joint heirs with him, we also cannot be stranded. So there's always something in the mind of God to bring me out of every situation. And if I will engage creative thinking, and I will press on like the mother of Moses to implement the creative ideas, God is always there to back me up. Lift your right hand with me this morning and say, I receive grace for innovative thinking. I receive grace for relevant solutions. I declare in the name of Jesus that I cannot be stranded. God is at work in my life. He's moving me in the right direction. He's moving me in the path of destiny. Say, doors are opening for me. My eyes are open. I gain understanding of the will of God for my life from time to time. Say, my mind is open. I receive grace to be curious, to be inquisitive, to ask the right questions, and to see the right solutions in the name of Jesus. Oh, somebody lift your two hands to Jesus this morning and just say a prayer. Say a prayer as you receive this innovative grace that is coming upon this house. Grace to solve problems. Grace to have an open mind that will be able to conceive new ideas that will lead to solutions. And for anyone who may be stranded here this morning, I declare in the name of Jesus that the Lord my God is making a way for you. That heavens shall be open over your life. When men say there's casting down, you will be able to say there's a lifting up. That in this Enterprise Development Month, everything that you need to move to the next level, God is opening your eyes to see them. In the precious name of the Lord Jesus. And so, Father, we thank you for that which you have proposed to do in our midst this season. We align ourselves to your will. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Let it be done in our lives. Let it be done in this church. Let the heavens open over someone here. We thank you for open doors. We thank you for questions that are answered. We thank you. We bless your name. We bless your name, Jesus.